I am Derek. I have my regular co-host Ray with me.
Hello.
And taking the role of Ryan this evening
the irregular Ian.
I mean, hey,
vowels or period.
Well, it's a mixture.
Whatever works for you, man. Ryan is unfortunately unable to join us this evening.
It's so sad.
We will miss him very much.
It's a hostile takeover. It's my show now.
But here's the thing. He has never missed an episode.
This is his first one.
And this is episode 72.
Yes.
I think. And if you count...
We both have missed episodes
We have. Yes, we definitely have. And so this is... a good run for Ryan. He almost made it into syndication all by himself, but that's not going to be the case. But we miss him.
He's like Old Yeller. He had a good run. We're just going to put him down.
He had a good run.
We're taking him out to pasture.
He's going to a farm upstate.
He is.
It's a nice farm.
It is.
Where he can be with all of his friends. But anyway, so he's not going to join us tonight, but he'll be back next week, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
He's here in spirit.
He is here in spirit. And this week we are going to be talking about The Mummy, the new The Mummy.
Yes.
The new The Mummy, the movie. And Universal's new Dark Universe.
Yes. We are casting the characters they have not.
Right.
As well as adding to it, saying what we would like. So.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
We're good. I got it.
Playback.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay, well, before we get started on that, just a couple of things. We'll hit a couple of news points, and if you haven't seen The Mummy yet, there will probably be some spoiler things in this podcast as we talk about the characters.
Don't feel like you have to rush out to see it.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and disagree. That I'm not saying I don't think it's as bad.
Rush out so these movies get more of a sequel. So yeah, that's no reason why to rush.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But as far as news is concerned,
rest in peace, Adam West.
Yeah, Batman. He is 88, and he apparently had a bout of leukemia.
Yes,
which
no one really knew about.
No, I'm not sure how long he had it.
They said it was brief, so I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know how long brief is, but it was brief.
So that's pretty sad. I mean, he was my first live-action Batman, of course. I grew up watching the movie and the show and all that.
And as he was older, we appreciated him for Adam West. He was such a genuine and hilarious man. You know, his roles on Family Guy. Probably
the mayor is awesome. Yeah, that's
probably one of the better parts of the show, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's
nobody messes with Adam Wee. And I mean that with all respect.
Yes.
I loved Adam West and everything I ever saw him in.
Absolutely.
So,
I actually never thought of him dying. That's really weird to say. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he was 88, and that's a pretty good run. It's a good chunk over the national average, but it's still sad.
Very.
So that's kind of a low note, but what's on the pot? What can we swing that to a positive? Moving on.
I don't know if it's positive or negative yet. I'll let everybody else decide, but it's related Batman news. So in this last week, in the Batman comic itself, Batman proposed to Catwoman. And this is a big deal because Batman is portrayed as this forever bachelor. So this is kind of a big deal in my opinion.
He's kind of like how George Clooney was.
Exactly.
Not that George Clooney was a good Batman, mind you, but
right.
George Clooney
he was a fine Bruce Wayne.
He was.
Yeah. It's interesting. So I'm very behind on my Rebirth readings with DC.
But you subscribe to Batman, so you should end up reading this at some point.
Yeah, I'm probably a solid 6 months behind at this point. But I mean, it's interesting. I'm not sure how long it'll last, of course, because it's comic books and death doesn't last very long.
No.
So.
The thing is, they stopped it right at that. There is no time or panel for her to say yes, so we don't even know what Selena will say. I assume that there will be a wedding because wedding issues are almost as popular as death issues. They do sell out pretty fast. They get, a double issue and usually a hardcover.
Yeah,
and
maybe the Watchmen will crash the wedding.
Oh, fun.
Because they're trying to merge those two universes since Watchmen's always been owned by DC, but it's been kept separate until Rebirth. So,
yes.
So that's interesting. That's definitely interesting.
It's very interesting. It's going to be a fun story for the comics. It may not be exactly what up lasting for a really long time. But
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, every marriage eventually gets broken up in comics.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's why people read them. I
No.
don't want to speak for everybody, but you know.
Like I get very attached to fictional characters, so when these characters come together, I want it to last for the sake of their happiness. But I know that is not why people read a Batman comic. It's
Right.
not because Bruce is a stable person.
Totally stable. Mentally, emotionally.
He has a stable credit unit.
Yeah, his credit score is a stable 900, I'm sure.
For sure.
But yeah, all right. So well, then let's move on to a bit about the Mummy. So
yeah, we all went
We did.
together.
We did.
It's a cute little trio.
so just to kind of get the numbers out of the way, it made almost 32 million domestically.
That is not good.
No.
It's not great. To put it in perspective, Wonder Woman in its second week made 58.5, bringing its domestic total up to over 206, which is pretty awesome.
And if you guys don't know, box office numbers just depreciate. Your first weekend is your telling weekend, and it's not going to go up.
No.
Nobody's has ever gone up second week.
Galaxy Quest, I think, is the one that like started off really low and just basically stayed steady the entire run.
But it never went back up.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry I just made that hand motion.
It's all right. Now, I will say that the movie has done pretty well overseas, bringing
It's done great overseas.
almost 141 million. So it's
Do you
made
ever feel like
175.
the rest of the world knows something we don't? 'Cause
Well, I think that it shows that there's different cultures, and just because the American people doesn't like something doesn't mean that it's not good entertainment.
It hit huge in China.
So, yeah, China. I mean, and that's what happened with Warcraft. Warcraft was a slam hit in China, and
Not so good here.
not so good here.
Yeah.
I liked Warcraft.
it
but,
wasn't a bad movie,
you know,
yeah.
But
I never got to see it.
China is now going to be a really major force for box office.
For sure.
You know, there's over 1 billion people who live there, and there's more and more movie theaters every day, and it's only a matter of time before their number matters more than our number.
And
So-
I completely agree. I feel like with India's giant Bollywood culture as well, it's only a matter of time before they catch up and have
for sure.
as big of a market. I mean, with
Yeah,
literally
absolutely.
1 billion, 2 billion people living in one country, forced to be reckoned with.
Yes.
Now, people are really slamming Tom Cruise for this, saying this is going to be his worst opening weekend ever. It's his worst opening ever. Well, it's not. It came in 10th, if you include his cameo in Austin Powers. So it's really number 9. This was his 9th best opening, and he's been in about 30 films.
Yeah.
So it did better than 2/3 of his movies for opening weekend. So let's put that in perspective for a moment. It outdid Edge of Tomorrow, which is getting a sequel. Its opening weekend. So another thing, just some stuff to keep in mind there. It was barely behind movies like Oblivion, and I mean 4 of the top 10 are Mission Impossible films.
Right.
Right. And at this point, the cast of those, that's a major franchise. And
It
you've
is.
got
But it's
Lawrence
also-
Fishburne and Simon Pegg.
If Tom Cruise is looking to attach himself to another 10-year or more franchise, obviously it looks like Mission Impossible is going to be winding down for him.
I would imagine at some
Because
point.
they're doing one more right now.
I
They're filming
would say
one
they
right now.
probably could squeeze out 2 more before his life he's just done with it.
Right.
You know? Like he just decide. I maintain that he's never going to be too old to do the things that he does because he's a demon. I believe
It's pretty epic, the stuff that he
Yeah.
pulls off, because he does
I do
basically
admit that
all of his own
there's-
stunts.
Yeah.
His stunts are pretty.
He's a force to be reckoned
Yeah,
with.
absolutely.
So I will say, I have not seen all of his movies, but I can definitely say with confidence that this was better than Mission Impossible 2.
I agree.
So
Anytime where Dougray Scott
just-
is your bad guy, you've lost me.
Yeah.
So I think that some people, I don't know, I have similar feelings to this as some other franchises where I just think people wanted to not like this movie for some reason.
It's because I think they have a soft spot for the 90s Brendan Fraser movie, which I liked when I was growing up, but I was young, and I liked that kind of humor and stuff.
But-
So
What?
Stop, because they beat that franchise with a dead horse
They did.
between The third one with the Dragon King, that was not well done.
No, that was horrible.
Jet Li is fantastic. That was awful. They replaced, like, Rachel Weisz jumped ship, and they replaced her with Maria Bello.
Who the hell is that?
Right. And
they had the
someone who
the Yetis who play football.
It's just, and then the Scorpion King movies.
You're not missing anything.
The Scorpion King movies, like, those were bad too.
Yeah.
Like there was one. And then for some reason there were more straight
2, 3,
to
4,
DVD.
and 5,
Like no, they're bad. They beat that franchise down, and
you're totally right.
To reboot.
Yeah,
and even if those were good movies, they were still 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And
it's time for something new.
Why can we only have one kind of mummy movie?
Right.
You know, we have a million superhero films.
Right.
So
there's only one definitive mummy.
I actually hear that they're rebooting Tom Holland's Spider-Man in August. So
during his movie, actually, there's gonna be an intermission, and they're just gonna swap him out for somebody younger. With
be like a little fetus Spider-Man. That's it.
New origin story. Like they're gonna finally reveal the truth.
Right. They're like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
It's a double feature ticket.
No, but the point is that...
Do you think Emma Watson would be Aunt May at that point? Because I have to keep making her younger, so...
That'd be hilarious. Emma Watson as Aunt May.
I gotta admit, Sally Field was my favorite. She was so good.
I love her, yeah. But anyway, so...
She was a good choice.
I mean, it's time for a reboot, and, it didn't do what they wanted for sure, but they've said that they are still moving on with the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And everything for this dark universe will rely on that movie.
Absolutely.
And that's it. If it fails, then they're going to stop it there and call it good. But if it goes beyond that, then they're going to keep on making more.
I agree.
There you go. So, without going too spoilery, quick, what did you guys think of the movie?
I'm mixed about it. I thought it had some really cool horror elements. Mm-hmm. And that's what these films are, by the way. They need to be horror first and action second. And I feel like the action kind of overtook in a few spots, and we forgot how scary some of these things are.
I agree.
There were, like, cons. I really didn't like that the mummies, because there were more that she created a mummy army, were pretty much just zombies without the flesh eating thing.
Yeah.
So that was a little disappointing. They were straight up copied.
Their look was kind of Walking Dead. I'm like,
yeah.
Their look, their behavior, the whole they can lose a limb and the limb's still possessed thing,
right? Yeah.
Like that. That was that's a little tired for me at this point. Very cliche, but there's a fantastic scene, like my favorite scene is the airplane scene. You see part of it in the trailer where he just stares at the coffin, and it looks stupid in the trailer just by that, but when you see the entire scene, it's pretty incredible. Like, the plane crashes, it's going down that part's in the trailer too, but it crashes because they run into, like, thousands of crows, like a murder of crows, and they stab right through the
windshield,
the plane windshield, and like land right, piercing the pilots, and it
just
it was so good. It was just good horror.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
I wish there were some more kind of scary, suspenseful scenes.
I agree.
I do agree that they lost a lot of it with, them picking up AK-47s and going to town. But I love the fact that it was a female mummy. We haven't had that.
Oh my gosh.
We had that in the original,
was
but,
so good.
Yes.
She's been great in everything
She
I've
has.
seen her in,
I haven't seen her really in a bad thing. I mean, I loved her in Kingsman.
Oh, yeah.
And
Kingsman was cool.
Star Trek and this.
I want to see Atomic Blonde because of her. And the other
Charlize,
and James McAvoy, like the three of them are going to be good.
Oh, for sure. But it was, a different kind of origin for a mummy, still crept with power, but she was just brutal and didn't really care about anyone. She just wanted the power.
Yes.
The other mummy from the 90s was, about love and, getting the spirit back to the blah, 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 blah. I like this one because she was just ruthless, cunning, and she killed an infant.
She did.
The end.
I'm usually a fan of that. I really liked it when Zack Snyder shot a zombie baby in the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That was a scene I was not expecting.
Right? You're like, oh.
But I actually liked it. Has there ever been a scary mummy movie?
I don't think so.
I mean, so for me, I wasn't expecting, like,
I don't think so.
Legit horror, because for me, these monsters have never really been legit horror. They're monsters. And
I think that Hollywood adapted it because it creeps out white people that they were at some point that this culture like
Did
wrapped
this,
up
yes.
and then enshrined their dead, and they didn't just dump them in the ground and forget about them.
No, I mean more of you guys were expecting a horror movie with more horror aspects, but there's never been a precedent really for
I
that.
was suspecting more of it because of the time, and because it's 2017, they can do a lot of cool stuff, but they kind of lacked on the scary bits.
I personally wanted it because I feel like out of all these movies, we've seen Dracula movies made recently, we've seen a Wolfman made recently, and they don't get a good balance of horror and action. These aren't like the crazy Paranormal Activity found footage or ghosts or things like that where you can really mess with people's minds with camera tricks. Like you're relying on your horror to be makeup, prosthetics, and the murder that these monsters cause.
Mm-hmm.
So I need a good balance of the action and the horror, just me personally. And I feel like the action overtook it because of who Tom Cruise is.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. When I saw that he's the lead, it never once occurred to me that it would be a horror movie.
I know exactly. Tom Cruise. Well, there's the action. It's
because I mean,
It's a different kind of horror for me. It's not.
It's new age horror, maybe.
I mean, it felt like a normal. It was like a zombie movie.
And
Yeah.
I guess I wanted some of the old
With Egyptian
classic like
undertones.
Nosferatu kind of horror kind of thing where it's suspense and it's
Well,
because
mind you,
something looks creepy.
I
these
mean, you might get
movies-
that in Dracula,
Right.
but I don't think you're going to get that in The Mummy. Because The Mummy's going to have the giant sand face going through a city and flocks of birds smashing into things and
More supernatural elements
Yeah.
with the gods and whatever. But these movies, remember, back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, when they made these movies, they terrified people.
Exactly.
They terrified them because no one has ever really done that before. There are movies, that had religion in it, that questioned religion, that all this kind of stuff. And people were like, this is horrible, this is sinful, this is,
And that's why
everything.
they were like B-C roll films that just
Yes,
kind
but
of
then became huge, obviously, cult classics.
It's because these monsters have been adapted into every part of our society. They're on little lunch pails around Halloween
They
time
are.
that McDonald's gives out.
Kids, dress up
but
as them.
they're
yeah.
cartoonized now.
But even if you look at vampires, look at the Underworld franchise. Like I like the Underworld movies. Well, I
like
haven't
most
seen all
of
them,
the five.
Yeah.
but they're not horror movies.
No.
They're action movies like Blade is, right? Those are
Right.
action movies.
Somebody could sit down and argue why it's a horror film to me, and I would listen to it because for me, there's enough gore, there's enough like blood and death and stuff to where I could totally consider it.
But you get gore, blood, and death in an army movie.
Like we're
right?
all really desensitized from a lot of stuff just based.
Like with True Blood, I kind of consider that more horror than the Underworld movie, just because it's on HBO and they can do a lot more. But that's just me.
I don't know, over 80, 90 years for the movies, we're totally desensitized to it. These things just aren't scary. They're cool for me.
And we think that we've seen it all. That's also why, too. Nothing really new is coming.
Well, that's why I like the twists on this one. The Mummy is very different than the Brendan Fraser ones, and very different than what you would get with Abbott and Costello back in the day. Like this is a different Mummy, and the motives are different, the premise is different, the tone is different, and I thought they pulled it off well. It is no type of cinematic masterpiece, but if you walked into The Mummy thinking that you're seeing something that might be Oscar bait, we probably need to have a conversation about your expectations.
We do.
But
and people who go into this Mummy thinking, it's not going to be anything like, the 90s Brendan Fraser movies.
It's not.
Oh, but there's connections.
Yeah, I mean, there's some Easter eggs.
We believe it's in the same universe because there's a scene, here's a spoiler for y'all, where Lady Love Interest, I forget her name, for Tom Cruise.
Lady Love Interest.
What was her
Jenny.
name? That's the one. Jenny from the block takes a book and knocks out someone, and they pan down, and the book is the book of death, or book of life.
I thought it was the Book of Life.
It's the book of life from the original 90s, well, not the original, but the 90s Mummy movie.
Right.
And so we're like, oh, haha.
Yeah, those might have existed in the same universe.
Yes, because remember that was back in the 30s.
Yeah.
So I firmly believe they're in the same universe. There could be more than one mummy.
Mm-hmm.
So Plus, Brendan Fraser's character is dead, so they can't call him on him for help. So
There you go,
it doesn't matter.
But anyway, look, go see it for yourself. If you like monsters and you like monster movies and
Russell
the classics,
Crowe's in it too.
Or
Russell
if you
Crowe
like Tom Cruise, because this is a swell Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah, it's not his worst.
The only thing that I disliked is that his character has zero redemption qualities. He doesn't go through a story arc of like goodness.
Yeah, he kind of just plays it plain.
He's
kinda,
jerked
meh.
the
I kinda
entire
like that,
time.
though.
Anyway,
Personally, I liked it more than both Edge of Tomorrow and Oblivion. So
I honestly can't even remember.
Well, Edge of
what happened
Tomorrow is
in
getting a
Oblivion.
sequel, and Oblivion did pretty well at the box office, actually. So if you look at his top grossing films and you take out the Mission Impossible movies, you know, there's only so much left in that top group that The Mummy didn't beat.
we got to get on to our casting, guys.
Okay, so shut up, Derek. Let's move on. Why don't you tell us who they've already
Shut your
cast
mouth.
in the universe?
All right, so the current cast in the films, obviously the Mummy is played by Sofia Boutella, and Tom Cruise plays generic guy Nick Morton. At this point, even after seeing the Mummy, you have no idea what his current connection is and what they're going to do with him. So
Yeah, you don't.
He is still generic hero at this point, and I say that with facts behind it, not any disdain for generic heroes. That's just the case. Russell Crowe's also in the movie, and he plays Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's doing both roles. And then the additional cast they have is Javier Bardem is doing Frankenstein's monster. Johnny Depp is doing the Invisible Man. And I'm excited about that because he's just been awful recently. So if he's going to be in a role and I don't have to see him, I'm okay with this.
Wow. That's harsh.
Johnny Depp does not hold the clout that his name used to for me. And
On certain things, yes, but I still like him as Captain Jack Sparrow.
I think
That's
it just might be the projects that he's picked recently.
That's also
I'm
true.
not disagreeing.
He looks
with
good
that.
in, what is it, Murder on the Orient Express or whatever?
Yes, I am so excited.
Dude, we have
for
to
that
do a
movie.
But then he
podcast
gets
for
killed,
that.
so, it'll work for you.
Right.
But either way, look, if you want to see what a good trailer looks like,
That's a good
that doesn't give away the film, that hypes you for the film, Murder on the Orient Express. Just check out that trailer.
I never thought I was going to be interested in anything by Agatha Christie because mystery is just not my thing.
I love mysteries, but I mean, great cast.
Yeah.
Great cast, fantastic trailer. So I am psyched.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway.
and then, so that's all they've cast, right?
That's
That is
it, yeah.
all they've
Yeah.
cast at this point.
Now we do know that they're going to, the next movie is The Bride of Frankenstein.
So,
So
we'll start with that
obviously
one.
she's going to be in there. I would assume Victor and Igor are going to be in there too.
Now it does seem a little interesting to do The Bride of Frankenstein this early.
Before Frankenstein.
I assume the monster will already exist.
I'm going to assume that as well.
If they're going by the book and somewhat of the original movie, then yeah, he kind of has to exist.
I mean, the bride wasn't in the book.
Right.
And the bride was...
Not the bride, but...
Yeah.
Bits,
No,
yeah,
I
anyway.
know. It's complicated.
It's Madeline
people.
Kahn's character.
It is.
Read the
It is.
Wikipedia.
Madeline Kahn will always be my Bride of Frankenstein.
She's fantastic.
But yeah, she wasn't in the original book, but obviously, they did a sequel because Frankenstein did so well, and she's so popular because she is really the only classic universal horror female monster.
Yes, absolutely.
And now the Mummy.
And now, well, yes,
Yeah,
but that's not
Sophia.
the classic.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
There were multiple brides of Dracula, but it was never
But we didn't care about them.
Well, it was never the same character.
That's true. Yeah, it was
It
all
was all-
different,
yeah,
background
so.
people, basically. So do you want to start off with the casting of her?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do it.
I can go first.
Okay.
Since Javier Bardem is Frankenstein's monster, I cast his wife, Penelope Cruz. I thought it was adorable, and I think she'd be awesome as a monster.
I didn't know they were married.
They are married.
I forget they're married half the time,
And I
but
think
yes.
they're really cute together.
They are cute. My pick, however, is the pick that is kind of in the rumor mill right now,
Yeah.
which is Angelina Jolie.
She's great too.
And yeah, she would be great as I would say Maleficent. She already is Maleficent. she would be great as the Bride of Frankenstein. That is, however, if she doesn't take up the role that she might be rumored for in X-Men. So
Yeah.
we don't know. But I would love to see her as the Bride of Frankenstein because
Sure. Yeah.
that is my favorite movie monster. The monster, she's in it for 5 minutes of the film and then she gets blown up.
Yeah.
So to see it and flesh out that character, I think she could do a real justice to it.
I agree. She's an award-winning actress, so it's...
And she's good with that kind of character stuff.
Absolutely. She is a character actor as well as a dramatic actor.
Jordan in chat wants it to be Helena Bonham Carter.
I can see that.
I would love that,
He
too.
says as long as Tim Burton's not directing.
I would love
Which I agree with that stipulation.
She and her ex have a good working relationship,
They do.
but they are not on like good personal terms. So.
Right, but I just don't like at this point. I'd like to see her doing other stuff of different styles than Tim Burton's style. Tim Burton has a very specific style.
Well, here's the issue why she's not going to even be associated with this. She was in the 1990s Robert De Niro.
And that's exactly why. I picked her at first, but then I thought, oh no, they're not going to do that because she was Elizabeth Frankenstein.
I forgot she was in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a long time ago.
She was already connected to the Frankenstein franchise.
I would love her to be in it, but that's exactly why.
Okay.
Same reason why we're not going to get Cloris Leachman. Like, it sucks. But...
As the Bride of Frankenstein?
No, in it. Like...
Some vol milk, perhaps?
So...
Who was yours?
Yeah.
Mine was Kate Beckinsale.
Ooh, she would look so hot.
Interesting. I don't think she would do it, though, because I think she wants to kind of get away from the monster movies.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. She wouldn't be like the action lead like she's been in the Underworld. It would be a different
The Bride
role.
of Frankenstein isn't going to have, like, a 9mm and start shooting up the
And,
place.
like, I don't think so. And, like, you know, skin-tight black leather. And
With
all
her
that.
hair and the lightning streaks? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still horror-based, but it's a
Right.
very different kind of role. So
Absolutely.
I could see her in that, too.
think it'd be fun.
She would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be mine.
But, yeah, I'm good with that. So let's do our Victor and our Igors next.
Okay.
I went with Michael Fassbender for Victor because once...
He's on my list, too.
He's on my list as well, but not for this
God.
not for this character.
Not for mine either.
All right, so once I saw Alien Covenant and Prometheus, I was like, man, this guy just wants to create life. He can do the messed up doctor. So.
I can see.
Oh, I took it as he just wants to be really creepy in movies.
Well,
That also is a good point.
so I picked him.
Okay.
All right, so for my Victor, I chose Vern Gorman,
I don't know who that is.
Pacific Rim, the scientist of Charlie Day.
Interesting.
Okay.
You had to think, but you're like,
That was a long.
Derek's
he
attention.
was
a
in
long walk.
Dark Knight Rises. He was one of Bane or whatever Falcone's henchmen.
Bane Falcone.
Well, what Bane or Falcone? That's Bane's last name. You didn't know that? It's Bane Falcone.
You learn something new every day, kids.
Jordan's gonna rip you in.
Right. He has that look of Victor Frankenstein, very much of the original, and he has that manic scientist. Because I just watched Pacific Rim recently, and I went, oh, he would be really good as Henry Frankenstein, or Victor Frankenstein, whatever you want to call him. He has, he's very obsessive with what he was doing with Pacific Rim. He has that, sense of pride and sense of, this is right and I'm right. And Victor Frankenstein very much had that. He shut off the whole entire world and created a monster and, went against God. So I think that he could do some real cool things with that.
I absolutely agree.
Cool. So I went with Jude Law.
Oh, I can see that.
That's interesting.
So I was trying to keep, and you'll probably notice, is most of my actors are roughly the same age.
Yes,
okay.
I did the same thing.
So yeah, I kind of kept them not old, of course, but older than what like maybe prime Hollywood would do with a new franchise.
Late 30s, early 40s, kind of 50s, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking at early to mid 40s mostly for my cast, except for a couple others. But yeah, so Jude Law, obviously a talented, accomplished actor. Same age as Kate, and I think they play off each other really well. And he'd be able to play the intellectual but a little couple bolts loose kind of scientist guy.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
I did.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
So.
Actually, Jude Law, huh?
Yeah.
And I mean, last thing I saw him in, and I did see it, was the King Arthur, and that was just an abomination. So He's good with that abomination stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so Jordan
Ooh.
says Benedict Cumberbatch, and I have to say that was my first choice.
He's on my list too, but not for that role.
I changed it because once I put him in that role, I could not picture anybody but Martin Freeman in the role of Igor.
All right, done.
And-
Podcast over. That is who it is. That's it.
That would be fun.
Universal. Do it.
Like, I immediately just pictured, well, it's Sherlock and Watson. That's all it is.
Yeah. Essentially.
So, I specifically didn't pick Benedict Cumberbatch because I thought he would just play it too much like Sherlock.
See?
Okay.
It's
So
I
didn't think of the Martin Freeman thing, but you're right. They would have to cast Martin Freeman in the movie,
Have to.
right? So,
Yeah.
like he was cast in the Avengers, and then all of a sudden Martin Freeman's in there too.
Right?
And we're
He's
like,
just gonna
oh,
sneak in.
okay.
Right?
And I'm fine with
Freeman's
that.
cast in The Hobbit, and then all of a sudden Benedict Cumberbatch is a dragon. They have to be in the movie together.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. I love those guys.
My Igor is Dane DeHaan.
Who the hell is that?
Dane DeHaan is the Green Goblin in Amazing Spider-Man 2. He's Harry Osborn.
I thought about him for Igor. I really did.
He's also in Valerian.
I just couldn't think of his name.
And honestly, and this is so not nice of me because I'm sure there's some fangirl out there that just loves him, but he's got a messed up face, and that's why
It is kind of mean.
But it's also kind of true.
It's still mean.
This is why we have a show.
Yeah, this is
terrible.
exactly. But I can see where it's not like
Like,
it can
he
work
can play
for him.
Evil,
I can see what
he
you're
can play
going with.
maniacal, but I just don't think he's at the age where he's the lead yet. So that's why
Okay.
I thought he could work back and forth. Like, he can be more manic, whereas Michael Fassbender could be the like calm
voice
psychotic.
of reason. Yeah,
Okay.
I can. All right, I'm with you on that one too. I'm stealing your Igor.
Oh yeah, because you had a hard time with that.
Yeah,
one.
I'm still debating on Dracula
convinced you.
too.
So, okay. Well then, for
Once
me,
I hear Dracula, I might steal your Dracula.
my Igor. So my hardest ones to cast were Igor and the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I felt like this guy could do both really well. But the guy I'm picking for Hunchback, I don't think would be right for Igor. So for Igor, I am going with Andy Serkis.
Ooh.
He's on my list too, but he's not. We have a lot of. Okay, cool.
So I don't want him to just be himself. I do want him to look different, whether that's prosthetics or doing some type of mocap with CGI to make him look different. I love practical effects.
Right.
So that would be my
Absolutely, yeah.
preference, of course.
Yes.
But obviously Andy Serkis is incredibly good at moving in different ways that are not your standard everyday person movements. All the work he's done with Caesar and the Planet of the Apes movies and things like
Yes.
that, I think would lead himself to being perfect for the Igor role.
I think that's really good, actually. I like yours a lot better.
Yeah, thank you. Usually I get made fun of during the fan cast, so I'm doing pretty well. So
Well, I'm not Ryan, so it's okay. So who's next? Van
All
Helsing?
right, so yeah, we're done with Bride of Frankenstein. We can move on to the Dracula films
Sweet.
Okay.
with the Harkers.
We run next door to the Harkers.
Van Helsing and Dracula himself.
All right.
All the others would be their own individual movies.
So I have the Harkers. So
Okay.
this is. I debated on this a lot for Mina because she doesn't get turned into a vampire. She just gets seduced and saved.
Right. Like, there's so many different variations of Mina where she's a vampire or where she's not, or where she stays with Dracula, or where she goes
Right.
back with Jonathan. So they could make her a really cool focus of it,
Mhm.
or they could just let her be a good part of the movie.
Right. So my Jonathan Harker is Michael Fassbender,
Cute.
Huh.
and my Mina is Anne Hathaway.
Oh,
That's
I like
cute.
her.
And I mean, Anne Hathaway,
I'd watch them make out.
We've seen her play, the coy kind of fun character with Catwoman. We've seen her do some really, dramatic stuff with Les Mis. Did you guys see Monster or whatever? Colossal, yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colossal was fun.
She was great with that.
It was
'cause
interesting.
She, played some humor in that and depression and, I think that if she did turn into a vampire, she would be a kick-ass vampire.
Yes.
But I like Anne Hathaway and Michael Fassbender together.
Cool.
I picked Gal Gadot and Bradley Cooper
Fascinating.
Interesting.
with the goal that eventually she becomes the bride of Dracula and gets her own movie.
Okay.
And eventually in 2025, there's a team up between Bride of Frankenstein and Bride of Dracula.
And Wonder Woman.
It's like a Thelma and Louise thing. It's fantastic.
But they can't die in the end.
No, they jump off the cliff, but they're still like, cool.
I know, they gotta like put their arm back up, like, all right, let's go.
No, not really.
Would you have her keep her accent?
Yes.
Interesting.
I think that would be a cool... Yeah?
Yeah. Her accent's adorable.
I love her accent.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just asking.
It's
it was
such
just
a
a question.
beautiful Mediterranean accent. Like,
Yeah,
it is.
Lots of actors change their accents for movies.
You're
You
totally
know,
right.
lots of
Her
Australian
accent's
actors.
so thick, though. I don't know if she can change her accent. It's so predominant with her.
I mean,
I would have...
I mean, she could. But...
I don't know. If you listen to like Hugh Jackman or Hugo Weaving talk normally,
Yes, that's
and then
true.
you watch
Or Hugh Laurie.
or Hugh Laurie's,
Yeah, that's amazing.
Exactly. Like,
When he first
people
spoke,
can
I'm
do
like,
it.
What?
Yeah, it's not everybody's good at it, of course.
Right.
You know, but it can be done. So.
But Bradley Cooper, I think, is a fantastic actor. And I also think that people are still
Why are you
so
laughing at that?
focused on like Hangover and Rocket that they forget that he has been up for Oscar after Oscar after
That's true.
Oscar. And he's also really good at playing the everyman, the vanilla character you need. And unfortunately, Jonathan Harker is
He's pretty vanilla. He could just like.
Well, I
plain
was just
vanilla.
thinking he'd be great as Victor Frankenstein because he can make the "I need that guy's leg" joke.
That would be funny if he did that. That would be hilarious if he did that.
I'm with you.
All right, sorry, Bern Gorman.
You
It's,
can have that.
it's Bradley Cooper now.
So anyway, I did not.
I love that.
What is this? Oh, Bride of Frankenstein plus Bride of Dracula plus the Mummy equals Universal Sirens. That's pretty good. I like that.
That's
that was
cool, yeah.
Jordan in our Twitch chat.
Hi, Jordan.
Don't forget, guys, you can join us live on Twitch every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/heroes podcasts.
Yes.
Yes, you can chat with us live, as you can see, and if it's relevant to what we're talking about, then we'll definitely note it.
Absolutely. I
so-
love it. Great job, Jordan.
I didn't do the Harkers.
That's fine, you don't have to.
I just skipped over
You
it in the
sent
list.
me the list that said do the Harkers and you didn't do them.
I didn't. It's my bad.
Who's your
To be
Van
fair, though,
Helsing
I still
then?
had an Igor. So let's go with Van Helsing. So for my Van Helsing, I have Gerard Butler.
Ooh. I love Gerard Butler.
I'm a big
So
fan
much.
of him. I think he's a good, strong action star, and I think that in this universe, Van Helsing has to be kind of tough. He's got to be gritty, he's got to be strong and powerful, and I think that Gerard obviously can pull that off.
Absolutely.
So,
See, I went the opposite. I went with Van Helsing being older because he's been through a lot of stuff. But I have two options for Van Helsing. One that's like I don't want to say super old, but one is older, which
Morgan
is
Freeman.
no. He'd be cool though. I said
watch that.
Ian McKellen because he can play the wise Van Helsing, the very teacher, not necessarily get in the grit with saws on their arms like Hugh Jackman did, but and then another one kind of at the end other spectrum, which was Christoph Waltz.
Interesting.
I love him. He is awesome.
So
I would sign up for that movie.
I think both of them can really do some cool things with the character depending on what they do with it. Anthony Hopkins played him brilliantly in the Bram Stoker's Dracula. And I think Ian McKellen or Christoph Waltz could do it.
Those are very good choices. I was kind of picturing him more like the character from the Legends of Tomorrow on the CW.
I get that.
And
Is
how
Van Helsing on there?
he is on a few episodes, yeah.
Oh.
And kind of playing off of that style, I think that Gerard Butler obviously could basically do that character. But
Yeah.
a little, no offense to that actor, but do it a little bit more
Right.
prominence, So,
Agreed.
what about you?
Michael B. Jordan. I went for
Oh,
someone
cool.
really
Super
young.
young.
He is very young.
I went with someone young, but he's completely capable of gritty acting. We saw that in Creed. He's a huge badass. He's in incredible shape. And it's not often you see a black person be the hero, the one you're supposed to root for, the one taking down the monsters. So that's kind of where I was going with that. I love my cast to be diverse. I try to have many ethnicities in there, so
I have all white people.
I was trying very hard to avoid that, so
I was too, but I'm just trying to
cast
think.
him.
I didn't even think about him. That's interesting.
I love him.
I mainly base my cast off of the original actors who played the roles.
That's smart.
That's kind of how I did too. When
I like I love Michael B. Jordan. I think he's awesome. The fact that like Creed, if you're a Rocky fan at all, go pick up Creed. Like it's just so good. So that's cool. That's a good choice.
Thank
I like
you
that.
very much.
That's I didn't even think about that. I like that.
So last one, Dracula.
Should I go for that?
Say, don't look at me first.
You can do that. I just went into other
Just
ways.
gonna
I went.
confirm. Yep. Michael Fassbender.
We all had it.
Michael Fassbender would be my Dracula. I think that it would pull a lot from his David character from Prometheus and Alien Covenant as far as a vocal tone and kind of speaking style kind of thing, right? But he's still physically strong and relatively young, which is important, I think, for Dracula since he doesn't really age,
right?
And things like that. So I think he would just be really strong for that role.
Absolutely. I'm good with it. I went with Oscar Isaac.
That's good.
That's interesting. Yeah.
That gentleman is a very imposing man. That's why he gets chosen for the roles that he is. That's why he was cast as Apocalypse, because he has a booming voice, because he commands a presence when he's there, and he's incredibly handsome, and that's part of Dracula's seduction is just how attractive he is. So I figured this would be a really cool role for
I have
him.
Dracula. I just thought about it.
Is it Oscar Isaacs?
No, it's not. Lee Pace.
Oh, he's so hot.
Interesting choice.
He has, when you said commanding voice, I immediately went Lee Pace. Because of Thranduil.
Thranduil.
That's the one.
Schmoog.
It's Smaug.
He has such a commanding presence on screen, and he's beautiful to look at.
He really is.
He has cheekbones for days.
Yeah, it really sucks that they just covered in black goo in Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're like, we're gonna do nothing with you and kill you off.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
I think he would be a very cool Dracula.
I'm good with that.
Dracula.
I'm
But
good with that.
I mean, I'm still partial to Gary Oldman. But that's just me.
Absolutely, it's difficult to not be partial to Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
So next,
Okay, so now we have just 3 more guys.
the randoms.
Creature, Phantom, Hunchback, and then our surprise at the end that we picked. So
Okay.
let's do Creature.
Creature from Black Lagoon? Okay. So for me, I wanted to go with somebody who I thought would be completely comfortable being in makeup and a suit like that.
Yeah.
And I think
I don't know who
that's
you're talking about.
Doug Jones.
Yep, that's what. Yep.
Nice.
It would be, what he'd have to go through would be very similar to
Abe
yeah. in the Hellboy movies, right? Yeah. So as far as the rigor of the filming process, I feel like he's already been through it. Yeah. And I think that could be really tough for people because he's going to have to wear basically a bodysuit with a bunch of prosthetics and all the stuff on his face and things like that.
Very similar to what he did with Abe.
Yeah. I think he'd be perfect for that. And I appreciate those types of character actors. It is not an easy thing to do to disappear into roles, right? You've got your Tom Cruises and your Robert De Niro's and Jack Nicholson's, and you love to go see them because of them.
Because of their face,
right?
Can Jack Nicholson be the creature from the Black Lagoon?
Maybe like 30 years ago. But Doug Jones is one of those character actors that really disappears into the roles, and that is intense acting. And he pulls that stuff off really well in costumes that are not going to be easy to wear.
Yeah, and he's like, pinky thin. So
he is a thin guy, which I think works well for an aquatic kind of creature that
does. They develop
creature is.
Weird body style.
They do.
Michael Phelps.
He
has like the body of a shark. He's giant up top and he's itty bitty down below.
Yeah.
He makes a steak, like just
a steak,
a pizza slice, like a steak.
Oh, I see. Yep, I get it.
She's doing the Buffy vampire killing motion for those who are just listening to the show.
I chose Sam Claflin from Hunger Games and Me Before You and everything.
You're gonna have to refresh my memory a little bit.
He was Finnick.
He's Finnick. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's used to being in the water too.
His character was supposed to be. They only did that once.
Yeah.
But I chose him because I also figure they're going to do more of a backstory, that we're not going to just get this weird creatures in the water, no explanation as to why he wants to kidnap this white woman. Like, no, I assume we're getting some background and motivation and stuff like that, and so we'll see him as a human.
I thought he just thought she was hot.
You have pretty skin, not scaly skin. I want
to be fair, that's like half of Hollywood.
That is true.
That's
Some
true.
person thinks another person's hot. That's
and
the
then
movie.
they kidnap them.
So I figured there'd be moments where he would be out of prosthetics and makeup and stuff like that.
Right.
Really?
And
you thought he'd look human?
yes,
That's what I kind of went with mine
do
too.
feel like at some point they will show this person
Or like a transformation
be
of some
normal.
kind.
'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it started with on The Mummy already. They
Whoa.
opened the movie with
her.
See,
her
I
as a human.
always took it that the creature was just a creature. I never took him to actually be a human.
Or something.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Just thinking
No,
outside the box.
you're just like blowing my mind here. Like I never thought about it that way. In my mind, it was like Godzilla or something, right? Where this is that creature. That's just what it is, and
It's
it's
a mutation from war of some kind. Yeah.
I mean, there's some humanoid aspects to it because it's got 2 legs and 2 arms like we do, but outside of that, it has nothing to do with us.
Correct.
So I never thought about it being a person.
Fair enough.
So mine is Benedict Cumberbatch.
Say that again.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay, you're still not saying the first name correctly.
Con!
Yeah, him.
Okay.
Call
Anyway.
him Con. Benedict?
No.
Benedict.
Ben.
Like eggs Benedict?
No, whatever. Him. He already looked kind of like an alien and otherworldly, so...
I like to think
You know.
that he's the middle of an Animorphs transformation. Not the beginning, not the end.
The nice, like,
middle.
opaque
All
middle.
the Cumberbatch hate. I love Benedict Cumberbatch.
No, I do too, and that's why I chose
He's a
him.
good actor. I don't think he's an attractive man. That's just not me.
Well, that's
I
why
don't
he's gonna be
fangirl.
covered up for a lot of the movie. But I think he could do some really cool stuff with motion capture.
Absolutely.
Mixed with
Look at his
prosthetics.
experience with Smaug.
With Smaug. With
And
Smaug.
Dormammu. He was Dormammu.
And he was Dormammu. He was talking to himself
At
in
the
Doctor
end of
Strange.
Doctor Strange?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I've come to bargain.
Right. I'm like, who?
Death.
I think that, he has a very, again, kind of commanding voice. And he
Absolutely.
does some very cool impressions. I don't know if you've seen him on talk shows, but he has some really cool voices on there. He can, the creature never once spoke a word.
Nope.
Right.
So...
Which I assume is going to change as well.
Yes, and that's why I chose him as well, because he can do some very cool things with his voice.
I agree with that.
And his body movements, and, he has a very commanding presence, and I think that he could do it.
So, Phantom.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because he can sing.
No. You back that up right now.
This is not Phantom of the Opera.
You said
as in...
This isn't...
It's Phantom of
It's
the...
not the Andrew Lloyd Webber, though.
No. This is the original. The original was not a musical. It was a horror film.
The 1930s, based
So
off of
who
the
was
book.
the Phantom of the Opera?
Lon Chaney.
Yeah.
No, not the actor. The character.
He was just a creep in
Yeah.
the rafters
He-
with a messed up face.
He wasn't an ex-performer?
No.
I don't know if
sure
he was
about that?
He might have been an ex-performer, but they didn't... That wasn't the
It wasn't
story.
Well, sure, but the creature doesn't speak in the original movie, and you guys are having him speak. He was an ex-performer,
We're
so
not
I
having him sing.
assumed that he could sing.
Well, maybe, but he's not just gonna... I think that would be too much like the, 90s movie that was...
Wait, I just want to make sure.
2004.
I just want to make sure we're clear
2004.
here. You guys want to show an origin of the creature where he's a human, but me wanting to show the Phantom of the Opera singing is crazy.
Do you mean singing like the whole entire movie?
No.
Or just... Okay, that's what I thought you meant at first.
No,
That's
like
why.
that's like when you see him as like a normal person, he's a performer and he's singing.
Okay.
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt can sing, and he's also a really strong actor.
Okay, I thought you meant...
And he
like
can...
in 2004, like a whole musical version of
No,
this.
not an entire
Okay.
musical, but I want him to be able to sing because the character, from what I understood of his origin, was an ex-performer who could sing in the
Okay.
opera. So,
That's fine.
So Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think
Okay.
that he's a very strong actor. I think that when he wants to, he can really pull off the creepy kind of stranger danger vibe.
Stranger danger vibe.
I think he can definitely do that, and I
Okay.
think he would be an A-list name to bring to the role.
Okay. Well, then.
But I'm crazy.
No, you're not crazy. I chose Jonathan Rhys-Meyers. He is from The Tudors. He played Henry VIII. He is from
What else has he been in? That name sounds really familiar.
Okay, so he was
I
in
know
the
we've seen something in it together.
terrible Mortal Instruments, City of Bones movie.
Who was he?
He was like the dad thing.
Oh,
yeah.
the dad thing.
I don't know what it was.
I know what you're talking about. Yes,
never
now I know
saw
what you're
that
talking
movie.
about. Yes, I know you're.
The Wikipedia had made it sound awful.
It was awful.
So, but he's a damn good actor. If you've watched The Tudors, he was even on the NBC Dracula movie, TV show, which was fantastic. And he's a very attractive man, so seeing half his face gone would be very tragic for me, and I could totally believe that. But he was my number one pick for Batman too, because Henry Cavill was also on The Tudors, and the two of them had such a great rapport that I wanted to see the two of them
duke it out.
Yeah. Anyway, Ben Affleck's doing great, so they're not going to replace him. Anyway.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
We're doing the fan, right? Okay, so I chose Andy Serkis.
Ooh.
I think that, he's done some prosthetic work and he's also done motion capture work.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go into it thinking that he would ever sing.
That's fair.
I did not go into it.
I don't know if Jonathan Rhys-Meyers can sing or not. So
I did not go into it because I thought, because
wasn't the original Phantom of the Opera a silent film?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
right.
1925.
So okay, I'm just making sure.
And I had the hardest time trying to think of the Phantom at first because I think like, okay, who can sing? Who can sing? But then I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't the musical. This is supposed to be the horror movie of it.
Right.
And Andy Serkis can do some terrifying stuff with his voice and his facial movements. And I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go as far as saying the Phantom should be motion capture because I think that would be too...
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary. All that's really messed up is his face.
Yeah.
But I think that Andy Serkis can play the level of creepiness and level of stalking, and that sounds really bad that I think that's what Andy Serkis does. He doesn't stalk, I don't think.
No, but he's good. I mean, think about it. He played Gollum.
Yeah.
Right? He's played Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's played some very intense emotional roles.
Yes.
He can pull that off really well when you can't see his face.
Right.
So you need that.
So I think covering him in prosthetics would be cool, and he can do some very physical stuff too. Maybe we can make the Phantom just really muscular and berserk.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. So last one before we get to our surprises is Hunchback, which...
I'm going to have to really sell you guys on this one, I think.
Oh, no.
How do you guys feel about
I might have to sell
Hunchback
you
even
one.
being in this?
It's actually gotten, I read online recently, it's gotten some hate from the disabled community.
Yes.
Because, they're saying just because someone is a hunchback or someone is, deformed does not make them a monster.
I completely agree. Now, in the book, not in the Disney movie, not in...
Which is super dark, by the way.
It is. But he's a very sympathetic soul in that movie.
He is.
In the book, he's a creepy stalker that's in love with the gypsy, and when she dies, he kind of lays on top of her dead corpse until he dies too. Like, he's a weirdo, don't get me wrong. But he's a weirdo because he's never been socialized before, because he's never been around.
Because the product of how he was brought up.
Exactly. So he's not a weirdo because of how he looks. He's a weirdo because of how he was raised.
But I can see how they're, taking offense to that greatly. I can totally see that.
So I was going to take it in a very different direction because of that. Because I want this to be done in a positive way that can be fun for people. And so I wasn't going to have him be, specifically like a grotesque or disabled person. I was going to have him be more of monstrous in the sense that he's big and hulking.
That's how mine is too.
But
Same here.
because he's not socialized, I wanted to give him a sense of humor about things. And when I was reading about it a little bit more, because I never saw the Disney movie, when I was reading about it, that was during an era of Disney that I missed a lot of stuff.
I will say two of the songs
are very creepy.
Well, no, the Hellfire, yes, that is frightening. But I was more saying that God Help the Outcast and Out There are two of the best songs that came out of that entire decade.
So I wanted to I was reading a bit about how he talks to the gargoyles and stuff like that, and I don't want that to come off as he's insane. I wanted to come off of more of kind of funny off the wall, when the genie's talking to the audience in Aladdin kind of thing. I wanted it to be fun, and I still wanted there to be some music involved because I think the character should sing a little bit to keep himself occupied and things like that. So I wanted somebody who is has a talented voice, is a talented character actor who does voices and things like that. So I went with Seth MacFarlane.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Not.
Why not?
Because Seth MacFarlane is a joke.
Why?
He is a joke of an actor.
I don't think he could be a hunt. I don't know. No.
Why?
I don't think he would fit in this universe.
But why?
Because I said so.
I'm giving you reasons why I think it would work.
I
need reasons why it doesn't. Now, I will say this. I don't think he's just going to stand there in clothes. I think they're going to have to, maybe do some mocap or something to make him look bigger and things like that.
He did voiceover for Klaus in Hellboy 2, and it was the only role of his that I have enjoyed.
Did he do Klaus?
He did.
Really?
That's the only role of his you've ever enjoyed.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's interesting.
But you used to like Family Guy.
As a whole, yeah, but I never
He
really
did most
liked...
of those voices.
I never really liked his, so...
But he's a lot of those characters. He's not just Peter and Brian, you know.
No, I know. He's Stewie and he's Quagmire and he's a lot of extras, but...
Okay. All right. Well,
I don't see him being able to carry that role on his shoulders. I don't see him stepping up to the plate and doing it justice.
I'm going to disagree. We
disagree with you.
He's been in the business for a long time. He's had several very successful shows. He's had successful films.
To me, he's just more of a comedic personality. He is not a monster
great on-character.
But that's why I'm saying that I think this character would need to be a little bit different, a little bit brighter. He would be one of the bright spots of the dark universe.
And it depends on where they're taking it, too.
You have to make the character somewhat sympathetic unless you want him to be the villain.
Right. Which, that could be an interesting way to take it, too.
And the thing is, these movies... they were the first movies to have the antagonist be the titular character.
True, but I was thinking that, like, Bride of Frankenstein, she's probably not the bad guy. Right? So I was kind of going the same route with this one for the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't think he's the bad guy. I think he's like Frankenstein's monster who's misunderstood and chased because people don't understand him and he doesn't understand the world. But he's not a bad guy like the Mummy is or Dracula. Right?
It can be played either way, which is going to be interesting how they do it.
And since we don't know, that was the direction I decided to go. I wanted him to be a sympathetic... not necessarily hero, sympathetic anti-hero maybe, but a sympathetic character who means well in a world that doesn't understand him. And I think that in that context, Seth MacFarlane works.
That's how I was kind of thinking of mine, but mine I did more muscular build because I picked Ron Perlman.
Two Hellboy actors.
Yes.
Ron Perlman's awesome. That would be a very different character.
It would be, and
talking about two completely different movies right
yes,
now.
He is used to, makeup and prosthetic work, obviously, with Hellboy. And I did think of him as kind of a sympathetic character that no one understands. He doesn't understand the world and why the world is what it is. And I think Ron Perlman can play that. He was on the live-action TV show Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
And he played the Beast kind of like that.
He did.
And, since I don't necessarily have him as a hunchback, I have him kind of muscular, but too muscular for his own good, so he's kind of deformed in that sense.
I get that. To me, I pictured somebody like the character in 300 Sparta.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. The one that betrays them and tells them of the goat pass.
But it's like all muscular up top and these like really skinny legs down. Yeah. I kind of pictured that as well, and I pictured him, muscular and heavy too, because he's ringing the bells all day, so that, arm muscles, and he's, carrying stuff up, the whole cathedral and what have you.
I did have mine being larger than the normal person is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think we're all going to, so I picked Ron Perlman.
I honestly am still kind of against this being in there. I just don't feel like it belongs. There's a lot of novels that came out around the Gothic era time that... Les Miserables doesn't belong in the monster universe. We don't have to include all of them in here. So
I think this is just Universal throwing everything they own the rights to.
I agree.
If they could throw the Hulk in, they would.
I agree.
So
I'm kind of at a loss for it. I picked Tom Hardy because of his role in Bronson.
Okay.
And he was just a very intimidating, scary man, and these are supposed to be monster movies, so I didn't really plan, like, am I going to have him deformed? Am I going to have him extremely large? Is he going to be a creeper? I didn't go too much into it because I'm still not sure I want him even in there. But Tom Hardy's a damn good actor, and he can do a lot with a physical role. So that's my only reasoning behind it.
Okay.
That's fair. So our secret, or not secret character, our
Right.
surprise.
So you were able to pick one that was...
I actually, because I was thinking going upstairs, and because I didn't have one, but... So, the one character that we have not seen yet in like a Universal film is kind of a creepy witch.
I picked a creepy witch as well.
Fascinating.
Witch.
Do they
that lives
own the
in, like,
rights to any witches?
I don't know. They like a witch lives in a swamp. I want to see kind of one of those.
Get out of the swamp, you kids!
Here's the thing. A witch is an open source character.
Yes.
And you can...
I know.
I don't know if they own
But
any.
they're
of
trying
these-
to use their characters that
Right.
they own the rights
And that's just
to,
it. Like,
so...
since this is an open source character that nobody really has a pinpointed, it has to look like this kind of witch.
The only people that have that's kind of MGM, and that's with Wizard of Oz.
And
So,
now Disney owns it.
yes,
But with a witch, you're bringing in straight up magic.
that is true, and there could be some kind of magic in this. I mean,
I'm okay with some
there
of
was
it.
magic in The Mummy.
That's not magic, that's a god.
Well,
So...
but it could be interpreted as magic.
Unless the witch is praying to a deity that provides her power.
Which, that's what I'm getting to. I'm thinking this is like kind of like a, not witch doctor necessarily, but, very voodoo-based, very, dark hexes, and,
Who
very
did you
black
pick?
magic. It's going to sound weird, and the person's very young and very beautiful, but I picked Lupita Nyong'o because she's gorgeous.
My God. Sorceress Witch with Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes, so, okay.
I did not go that route.
I chose her because she has this beauty, and to make her a witch will be so cool.
Right.
Okay.
Because with these monsters, you play up their seductive qualities, but
Yes.
you also ugly them up a bit because they're still villains.
Mhm.
And I picked Lupita for many reasons. She's very talented.
Yes.
She won an Oscar already.
Yes.
Like her first major role.
I love her voice.
She has a great voice. I mean, she's Maz Kanata, which is so cool.
Right.
She's absolutely gorgeous. And I wanted another person of color in there. I wanted another female too. So
This is why we have our own show together. This is why.
but
I miss Ryan.
I
Womp
honestly thought that it would be more blood based. There's a ton of witches and covens and things that
With blood magic and
involve
dark, yeah.
hurting people. Like Dracula isn't magic, but he's also a supernatural kind of immortal creature. And Frankenstein's monster, it's not magic, it's sci-fi, so it all kind of mixes together.
Okay.
So I didn't necessarily think swamp witch, but yeah, I definitely wanted
or like
some
a witch in the
sort
woods of some
dark,
kind.
yeah.
Or a dark castle, yeah.
I was trying to keep in the confines of the Universal characters.
I totally get that.
So I decided to, because I was having a hard time picking somebody from their list, I thought that maybe I would just connect the universe a little bit better. So I have...
Did you pick Hulk?
I did not
You
pick
picked the
Hulk.
Wolfman?
I did not... No, Wolfman isn't that... Isn't there
We didn't pick a Wolfman.
I thought they cast a Wolfman.
No.
We didn't pick Wolfman.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
He was on the list because I thought he was cast already.
Who's
No.
really hairy that's an actor?
Oh my god. We have to come up with a Wolfman like
Well, if
right
I had
now,
to pick a
guys.
Wolfman right now, then it would be Ron Perlman.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
actually.
Ron Perlman would be my Wolfman. I thought he was already cast,
No,
so that's why
he
I
was
mistake.
not. That's totally my fault.
character, though, my surprise character, is to kind of help expand the universe a little bit and take the lead from what they were doing in The Mummy, and that was to have Dwayne Johnson reprise his role as the Scorpion King. But not have it done the way they did it in the 90s. Not have him actually be half
Not
Scorpion.
really crappy CGI.
But yeah, not like that. But legitimately, like, he is a huge presence. He is a fun actor. He is a huge box office draw.
Mm-hmm.
And they've already kind of hinted that those movies exist in the same universe, and this would just cement that. And maybe he breaks out Sofia Boutella's Mummy, who's still alive.
I definitely
right?
got the feeling from the movie that they're bringing her back.
Right?
Like
Maybe not anytime soon, but they're putting her on ice.
She's on, yeah.
She's Han in carbonite right now.
So imagine if The Rock
Someone
broke
who
her
loves
out,
you.
and you've got her and the Scorpion King.
That would be interesting. But he's also, funny fact, he's rumored to be the Wolfman. If they cast the Wolfman, he's their front runner for Wolfman. But
my Wolfman would be Idris Elba.
Oh,
yeah. All right.
Like, my goal is to cast Idris Elba in everything we do.
Why didn't I think of that? Because I think
Yeah.
because you had said Ron Perlman, that was probably in my head. Idris Elba, yes.
Yeah, he would be a very
Benicio
cool
del Toro. That movie was underrated. Go
I
see
agree.
Wolfman. It was so good. Oh, I loved the Benicio del Toro movie.
Yeah.
That had a really good...
I like the Jack Nicholson one from way back.
Yeah, that was good too.
What was Jack Nicholson of
I can't even remember the title of the movie now. It was a very long time ago.
Was he the werewolf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did it with very little prosthetic
Was
work
this
too.
pre-Batman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This was a long time ago.
Wow,
So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Well, that's us. Let us
Cool.
know what you guys think of our castings. Let us know who you think should be in the Dark Universe. Tell us what you thought of The Mummy and if you're excited for Bride of Frankenstein. Next week, we're going to be talking about our top favorite all-time live-action fantasy films.
Absolutely. Frequent guest Robert McCullough joins us. Coming up on Costume Couture, we have an interview with another Castle Creations, Lydia Hartwell and the Walking Farnsworth. And then on Gamer Heroes, what are you guys doing?
E3 coverage. It's E3 this week. Tons of stuff from Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, Sega, you name it. We did a bunch of predictions last week. So
Sega's still a thing?
Sega is definitely... The new Sonic game looks cool.
All right.
Oh, they're still doing Sonic.
The game looks great. Sonic Forces looks awesome. But if you want to know what our predictions were, you can catch episode 19 of Gamer Heroes out now. And this week we will be recapping that, seeing what we got right, what we got wrong, and what we're excited about. So check us out, heroespodcast.com. You can find us at Heroes Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. You can also find Gamer Heroes and Screen Heroes on Blog Talk Radio and Costume Couture on our YouTube channel. Ian, thanks for joining us and filling in.
You're welcome.
Ryan will be back next week. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.